Hello, pattern readers. Once again, I have some Wheel of Time TV show news that I want to discuss. This time, I really want to dig deep into some details that I don't see enough people talking about. Comic-Con International is coming up starting on July 21st. And even though it is a virtual event this year, it's still a really big deal. We recently learned that Rafe Judkins, the Wheel of Time showrunner, will be featured on an Amazon panel. There has been plenty of discussion of what we might get to see from that panel. And of course, I'm going to give you my opinion on that as well. But I don't want to just shoot from the hip. Of course, every fan wants to see a trailer, and I do too. But I want to look at some information that will help us figure out how realistic is it to be expecting a Wheel of Time trailer at Comic-Con. By the way, if you're new to my channel, please have a look around. I do cover major news for the Wheel of Time TV show, and I always try to provide you with in-depth analysis to go along with it. For instance, when I speculate about what we might see in season 1, I try to draw on a lot of behind-the-scenes information and make comparisons to other adaptations to help me predict. I love talking about book-to-screen, fantasy, and sci-fi adaptations. And I have an in-depth reread series for the Wheel of Time books. Now for Comic-Con. And first, what do we know? We know the panel will be streaming live on the Comic-Con YouTube channel starting at 11 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, July 23rd. And that this panel will also feature creators from 4 other Amazon and IMDb TV shows. The panels are about an hour long, so we can't really expect the Wheel of Time to have more than 10 to 15 minutes to introduce their show to the broader Comic-Con audience. How big is that audience likely to be? Hard to predict, but last year's con was also virtual, so we can look at how many views those videos got and what kinds of content they included. It's important to note that in last year's virtual con, Amazon had 4 of their shows participate, and in each of those cases, the show had their own panel rather than participating in a multi-title panel. So that might really make a difference in how much we can compare Rafe's panel with what we saw from Amazon last year. But still, I looked at them. 2 of the shows were new, having yet to release their first episodes. Those were Utopia and Truth Seekers. And there were 2 returning shows, Upload and, of course, the hit show The Boys. In the case of the new shows, both of them did release short teaser trailers of about a minute, either a bit under or just over 60 seconds each. So these were not full-length cinematic trailers, but certainly more substantial than anything we've seen from the Wheel of Time so far. In the case of the returning shows, both opted to show sneak peek clips of about a minute long each instead. Also, these videos have views in the range of tens of thousands. It's hard to say whether a panel that features multiple Amazon shows might be more of a draw than an unknown new show on its own. But it probably would be less of a draw than the panel for The Boys, which was already a popular show at the time. That video has 66,000 views a year later. So that probably kind of puts an upper limit on how much traction we can expect this panel that Rafe will be on to get. With that, and the fact that the Wheel of Time will have less time than any of the Amazon shows did last year, I feel really comfortable in saying there's no way we're going to see a full-length cinematic trailer at Comic-Con. I don't see a lot of other content creators saying that we will either, but I do see a lot of fans out there who do seem to be expecting this. So I really wanted to put that out there up front. I have more reasons than just this to say so, but we'll come back to those. But I think a lot of fans would be really thrilled with a minute-long teaser trailer like what Utopia and Truth Seekers got. So what about that? Again, I want to emphasize that both of those shows had their own panels that featured not just their showrunners, but also their stars, etc. So that's a factor to consider. We should also look at when those shows premiered. Utopia was first released on September 25th, 2020, and Truth Seekers came out on October 30th, 2020. So both of those shows had their first teaser trailer released at Comic-Con approximately 2 to 3 months before their shows debuted. The budget for the Wheel of Time is likely way bigger than those shows, and that would include more to spend on marketing. But spending more on marketing doesn't necessarily mean that that big marketing push would happen sooner, just that it would be more broadly distributed once it does begin. But given that we would expect Amazon to promote Wheel of Time more than it promoted Utopia or Truth Seekers, why doesn't Wheel of Time have its own panel featuring not just Rafe Judkins, but Rosamund Pike and others? The reason I suspect is that the Wheel of Time isn't going to premiere in the September to October range. It's likely a little further off, probably in the November to December range. But I want to step away from just talking about Comic-Con panels for a minute. Because you might reasonably ask, well, we're going to see this Comic-Con panel really soon, so we're going to know what it's going to give us. So why not just wait and see? Why bother speculating at all? Here's the reason. Every time I see the Wheel of Time social media release anything to its existing followers, which I'll remind you are pretty much exclusively fans who are already really excited for the show, you get the immediate reactions of, that's nice, but what about a trailer? Why haven't we seen a trailer yet? Don't give me these little snippets, just give me the trailer. I've even seen some fans who say they're worried about the show because we haven't seen a trailer yet. How realistic are these expectations even? And how many fans are ending up disappointed with all these extra little peeks that we've been getting because they've become fixated on when is the show going to start marketing to non-fans? So I wanted to look a little more broadly at how Amazon has been doing marketing for its shows more recently. Now, we don't know exactly when the show is going to premiere this year, so that makes it harder to predict, but let's have a go. I'd be remiss not to mention that WhatSeries.com actually took a look at this a few months ago, and I mentioned it at the time. But as they pointed out, it was a very limited sample size of Amazon original shows. And they were also focusing only on the first seasons, or in the case of The Expanse, the first season that it was on Prime. The problem is, none of those shows debuted last year, and 3 of them debuted in 2019. If we look further back, we do see a different pattern, but that's less relevant. I really wanted to focus more on shows they were marketing in either 2019 or 2020, and especially at bigger shows. Carnival Row premiered on August 30th, 2019, but the release date was only announced on June 4th, 2019, with the teaser coming out on July 27th and the full trailer not until August 6th. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel dropped its full 3rd season on December 6, 2019, and its official trailer was released on October 14th. The Boys Season 2 premiered on September 4th, 2020, and its trailer was released on June 26, 2020. It did have a very early teaser in December 2019, but given that it was a returning show, I don't think that is applicable to the Wheel of Time. The Expanse Season 5 dropped its first episodes on December 16th, 2020, and its trailer came out on October 8th. So looking at each of these, the full trailer was released about 2 months prior to the premiere in the case of the returning shows, and less than 1 month in advance for the new show, Carnival Row. So that's all the more reason why a full trailer for the Wheel of Time should not be expected by now, and will not happen at San Diego Comic-Con. Because the show would have to be premiering in September for that to make sense. And it just doesn't seem possible. Or if it were, they would certainly have a full panel. But again, what about a 1-minute teaser trailer? Maybe. But it doesn't look like Amazon has been releasing their shorter teaser trailers much in advance of the full trailer lately. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that the show is going to premiere in November, late enough that they didn't go for the full panel at Comic-Con, but not so late in the year that they will be competing much with The Witcher in December. In that case, we would probably expect to see a full trailer in September at best. And releasing a teaser trailer 2 months prior to that doesn't seem to be in keeping with what Amazon's strategy has been lately. So it's possible, but I'm not expecting it. But we can still expect something exclusive, right? This is still Comic-Con. And yes, I do think we can expect something. All I'm saying is don't necessarily expect the something to be in the shape of a trailer of any length. If we look at the official description for the panel, it does give us reason to hope for something exciting. Amazon Prime Video and IMDb TV have joined forces for a multi-title panel that promises something extraordinary for every Comic-Con at Home attendee. They list all the participants, starting with Rafe Judkins. And then TV host Tim Cash leads each panelist through their own standalone series conversation, filled with illuminating discussion and exclusive asset drops and announcements. So it would be really strange for the Wheel of Time to not give us something visual, given that they are trying to introduce and sell their show to a broader audience of non-fans. There are plenty of really short little teasers that they've already used for book fans. None of those are exclusives, and none of those would work on their own to sell the show to someone new. Could they perhaps make use of those, putting some together, maybe with some additional content to make it make sense? Maybe. I'm not really expecting that, though, because the teasers that we've seen so far are really not meant for someone who's just unfamiliar with the show or the content. So I'm hoping for something that they've put together more specifically for this Comic-Con audience. Some other possibilities to consider. Since we aren't getting any of the stars on the panel, it would be really great to see some of them on camera talking about their roles and the show. I think potential new viewers would really love to see who some of these cast members are, and there's certainly some bigger names in the cast they can play up or show off their younger stars as well. Possibly even more exciting would be the potential to see some of the actors in costume and in character, either on video or in stills. If they go that route, they certainly still need to give a broader explanation of what the show is about, but that could be Rafe's job as well. What I'm honestly really hoping for, in addition to some of those visual possibilities, is an exact release date announcement. Maybe that's a little bit of wishful thinking on my part. Carnival Row did get a release date announcement prior to its first official teaser, but in that case, it was still only 2 months prior to the premiere of the show, so maybe we have to wait a little bit longer for that. So the point of all this information that I'm sharing with you is that if it turns out that we do get a short video of the cast, or views of them in character, or an exact release date, or even all of these, but we don't get anything that looks like a trailer, even a shorter 1-minute teaser, I'm anticipating that a lot of fans are setting themselves up to be mad and disappointed, and I'd hate to see that. It just seems so unnecessary to set up expectations based on not much more than just what we'd like to see, and then be upset when those expectations aren't met. We are going to get a trailer at some point, most likely even a shorter teaser trailer and then a full trailer. But we have to keep in mind that the purpose of those is really for people who are not aware of this show at all yet, or maybe only vaguely aware of it. And for those people, it probably makes more sense to release those much closer to the premiere date, when Amazon is ready to do a big marketing blitz and keep it fresh in people's minds. For people who are watching this video right now, we don't need to be reminded. We're going to be watching that show whenever it premieres, no matter what it is. So I try to remember that the show has been kind to us. They've been engaging with us. They've been giving us all kinds of extras. And as much as it feels like it should be, that big marketing blitz, whenever it happens, it's not really for me, for people like me. Adam Whitehead, writing for dragonmount.com, agrees with me, by the way. So check out his recent article that I've linked for you for more information. And if you hate me for bursting your bubble, but you still think I made some good points that people need to hear, please like and share this video to help kind of spread this message in the fandom. There's not long left before this panel, and I think the more we as a fandom can temper our expectations a little bit, the better. And if it turns out that I was being too cautious and I was wrong, I don't think anyone was really hurt too much by getting more than they expected. No matter what it happens at that Comic-Con panel, I'll be covering it. And whenever we get a teaser and a trailer, you better believe I'll be covering that too. So subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss those. And until next time, gird your loins, my friends.